film's director, writer, co-star, John Wesley.
Thank you, guys.
Completely shot in Sacramento.
Yeah, I just love making art out here.
Let me take you back to late 2022. My first movie, Road Trip Runaway, has just come out to what I would call not a large amount of fanfare. But I'm very excited and happy that I got to make this movie. I'm gestating what's the next movie I'm gonna make when suddenly one night it hits me. So it follows a DoorDasher. Someone holds him up at gunpoint and they're like, "You're gonna drive me to a gas station and then I'll let you go." And he's like, "No," and they're like, I'll fucking kill you. I think, hey, that's a pretty good idea. I'm gonna start talking to some friends about this idea. And then I do that over the next couple months. People like the idea, and I think there's something here. So I decide to start writing the script. But then I procrastinate for several months until January 2023, when some severely heavy personal circumstances mixed with the fact that I was completely unemployed enabled me to write the script for the film. I wrote BRAINBUGS over 2 weeks. That was the first draft, but it changed very, very little over the next few months, and I didn't really know what to do. My first movie, Road Trip Runaway, came about from some pretty weird circumstances. I'd been hired to make a documentary for this website, Bug TV, and I didn't even realize it was going to be a feature film until I started editing and said, "Oh my god, there's this much footage here." So this was the first time I'd ever written a feature film, and I didn't know if it was any good. I thought it was good, but who knows if I knew anything. So I sent it to a friend of mine, Mark Wolf. He's a producer who's worked in Hollywood for over 30 years on a bunch of movies, and we had connected because he liked my first movie, Road Trip Runaway. I sent him the script, he read it, and got back to me. Miraculously, he loved it, and he said he wanted to help me make it happen, so we got to cooking. We decide we're going to crowdfund the movie on Indiegogo, and I start casting. I start sending out a bunch of emails, and again, miraculously, we get a whole bunch of great people attached. Tina Parker from Breaking Bad, Anne Ryerson from Curb Your Enthusiasm, Mike Pollock from Sonic the Hedgehog, and all of these people were agreeing to work on the project for way below than they were worth because, as their agents kept saying, they really liked the script. So I got very, very excited. We started the campaign on Indiegogo, and I would say I think in retrospect made the mistake of announcing the cast to the world on my birthday, June 29th, 2023, and asking for money on Instagram. I regret this in retrospect because of some things that happened in just a little bit, and because it kind of blew up in my face. In the middle of running our Indiegogo campaign, the writers and actors strikes occur, and our entire cast basically goes belly up. A lot of people's schedules are uncertain. By the time the strikes had actually wrapped up, most of them had moved on to other projects. That, mixed with the fact that we didn't raise nearly as much money as we expected to on Indiegogo, made us choose to make the film super indie, as low budget as we could possibly make it. We just had to raise just enough money, and we decided we were going to make it. So with all of that in mind, I cast myself as one of the leads to save money, and I cast my roommate at the time, Juno Coyne, as the other lead, again in an attempt to save money, but also because I had seen her act and I knew she was good. We start rehearsing actively, and it is a long process. It's 8 long months. We're rehearsing together, mostly virtually because I'm in the process of moving to Southern California, and then trying to get in front of Mark Wolf, the producer, to see if he likes it. He keeps not liking that. He'll stop us like 10 minutes into rehearsal and go, "It's not working, adjust this and this, we'll try this again in a couple weeks." We keep rehearsing. The same process repeats over and over and over again. And over these 8 months, I don't know, man, something just didn't feel quite right. I had written the character of Teddy, the one I was supposed to be playing, largely with myself in mind, and so it felt strange that the character wasn't fitting how I expected it to. And same with Juno and the character Bill, the vicious murderer that she was supposed to be playing. It wasn't quite reading how I'd expected it to. So one day, I had this weird revelation. What if we were to switch characters? I pitched it to Juno. She said she's into it. I pitched it to Mark. He says he's into the idea. We tried just one rehearsal, switched characters, and we decide that that's gotta be the way we make the movie because it feels so much better. It feels so much more natural. The energy that we've been trying to pull is suddenly just there. So, oh my God, Eureka, we found it. I'm going to be the vicious murderer character, and Juno, my roommate, is going to be the trepidatious, anxious Teddy. We get it in front of Mark, and he actually really, really likes it. For the first time, he says, he can see what we're seeing. But unfortunately, another wrench got thrown in right here. Although we really hadn't reached our goal on Indiegogo, we had been expecting that we would have a certain amount of money to play with because of some circumstances that I'm not going to get into. Needless to say, circumstances changed and we suddenly had even less money to make the movie. And that was a problem because Mark's quote is expensive because he's a professional. He's been doing this for many, many years. His quote is completely understandable. But with the budget we were suddenly working with, it wasn't a quote I could fulfill anymore. And God, as much as it broke my heart, because Mark had seriously been developing this movie, just basically he and I, for 9 months, 10 months with me. I had to tell him that we couldn't afford to pay him his rate. And we amicably split ways on this project. But God bless Mark, he's a great guy. He was still such an advocate of the project, so helpful as we went on to make it. And he has offered me so many opportunities in the time that I've gotten to know him. And I'm so thankful for what he did bring in those early days of BRAINBUGS because it was instrumental and it made the movie as good as I like to think that it is. At this point, me and my assistant director, who was a previous roommate of mine actually, decide we've just got to make this movie. We've got the resources, we've got just enough money, and it's time. What are we waiting for? So we decided we're going to start shooting on March 31st of that year, 2024. And I released an update video to the very few people who were following this story at this point, explaining that the cast has changed, apologizing for getting ahead of myself, and announcing that we're about to start shooting the film on March 31st. So a couple days before that, me and my director of photography, Sean McGrath, who live in Los Angeles, drove up to Sacramento, California, where we began making final preparations to shoot the film. For the first few days, things are going well. A lot of the film takes place in a car, with Teddy being in a hostage situation after witnessing Bill commit a crime. As such, we had to fake that outside of the car with images passing by. So the first day we spent building these rigs, which were basically these very finicky TV mounts that we strapped LEDs to. And based on some earlier tests that I had done with Juno, we knew this would work. It doesn't look perfect, it doesn't look quite seamless, but I'm very proud of the way this car looks. I've had so many people ask me when they're watching the film or after they're done watching the film, did you guys actually drive while you were filming this? And that is something I am very, very proud of. So yeah, all that just to say, we spent the first day building those rigs and it was very finicky and very annoying and it took hours, but we did it and things were looking good. One of the first days was the big dialogue day where we knocked out most of the filming that took place in the car. And we showed up and Juno, experiencing a bit of the yips, was forgetting a lot of lines and a conflict sort of occurred, but we made the best of it, communicated our way through it, and we got a great day. We shot like 40 pages of this car stuff in this one day. It was amazing. Things were going pretty well, but then things started to go not as well. Sean and I wake up in our motel on a pivotal shooting day. We have an actor already waiting for us at a location that is very remote, very far from where they live, but that's fine because we just have to walk downstairs to our car, and it was gone. Our car was gone. What is going on? We go speak to the people in the motel. It turns out my car got repossessed. I'm not going to get into why or how the specifics of it, but this was an extremely stressful situation. I had also not been eating very much because the character called for skinny and wiry and aggressive, and so I was living off very few calories every single day. So I was a mess, bro. I started crying. I was freaking out just trying to figure out what we were going to do. Eventually, we resolved we just have to go up there and get the shots with our actor because we don't know if they're going to be available the next week when we're going to be filming the rest of the film, and they've been up there for so long, we just need to release them. So we drive up, we film their stuff, it goes decently, it's a very stressful day. We drive back to the hotel, and now another stressful thing. You see, we were going to film this movie over 2 weeks. First week, where we were going to get the car stuff, some location stuff, a lot of the harder stuff out of the way, and then we were going to go on break because Sean and I had a concert to go to in Los Angeles, and then we were going to go back for week 2, get some of the less intensive stuff, and then hopefully we'd be done with the movie. So obviously now that my car has been repossessed, we can't drive that back to Los Angeles, but we've got to get back. So we buy Greyhound tickets. It's a bus. We get on a bus, or we're trying to get on a bus. We have some delays. I think it was actually because I wanted to get us McDonald's before we got on the bus, and that put us just over the line enough that I ran out and the bus was pulling away. And I flag it down, and God bless this woman. She stops, and I go, excuse me, would you mind letting us on, please? I'm so sorry, we just barely made it. And she goes, okay, let me see your tickets. And I start pulling them out, and I go, okay, my buddy, pointing to Sean, is just gonna go grab our bags from inside the station. And she flips a gasket. She starts freaking out. She starts screaming at me, you're lying. What are you talking about? And I was like, please believe me. He's coming. And she was like, get off my bus. Get the off my bus. And I was like, okay. And so I take a step off her bus. She drives away, and Sean shows up with the bag 2 seconds later. What are we gonna do now? We decide to buy plane tickets because we are just so exhausted and just done with the events of the previous 2 days that we just want to go home. And so it's an expense that we really aren't in a place, either of us, to super afford, but we take the dive, we buy the tickets, we fly home. I remember on the plane, I was so exhausted. I felt so demoralized, and the first week had gone relatively well, but oh my God, we still had a lot of work to do. And it was not going well, dude. And then, like a miracle, Sean Mills, one of our poster artists, sends me the poster for BRAINBUGS, and it looks so sick. And suddenly, my energy is back, and I'm ready to get back to week 2. After a few days off in Southern California, we make our way back to Sacramento, licking our wounds, but determined to have a good second week. I get my car back from the repossessors, and we start shooting again. And again, things are going well. We have a lot of scenes that we're just shooting guerrilla on people's properties that we're just sort of on the outskirts of, and people would pull up, and we'd be like, oh, we'll get out of here. And they'd go, oh, no, it's totally fine. Do you want some water? This is cool what you're doing here. We were so lucky, and a lot of it is due to the warmth of the people of Sacramento, whom I love. So things are going well. My buddy Kyle, who you might know as Switchy on YouTube, comes to town for his scene. The last scene we're going to shoot, the last day of shooting. And then we're all wrapped with principal photography. We'd be done. While we're filming our last scene, literally our last scene, because I'm screaming and thrashing around a gun prop that looks very real, the cops get called on us. Everything goes fine. They were super chill about it, but they did tell me that if I had had the gun prop raised when they got there, which luckily I didn't, that they would have pointed their guns at me. So that was freaky, but they were nice and they let us go. And we got to wrap principal photography right there. And oh my God, what a feeling, brother. Then I get back, and within the week, seriously, I'm editing the movie. This takes months, and there's a lot of little stories that were along the way, but to be honest, as interested as I am by editing, I realize that most people really are not like that. So we're just gonna keep moving. Months go by. I'm editing, I'm refining, I'm figuring this movie out. It's becoming a movie. In August of 2024, just a few months later, we hold a test screening for a rough cut of the film in a small boutique theater in Sacramento. It goes pretty good, and we got a lot of feedback from the people that came that seriously helped shape this movie in so many ways. Completely unrelated, I get cast in a short film that's filming in Sacramento, and the director, Sebastian Flynn, and I really hit it off. And I think, wow, this guy is really, really good with a camera. I showed the film to Seb after a few months of not working on it, and I'm noticing stuff that I think I want to correct or add. And so I actually pitched to Seb, hey, do you want to shoot some additional photography for this film that we can sort of intersplice? They were basically insert shots that we interspliced while these characters were telling stories. And he said he was down. So we spent a couple days doing that, running around Sacramento, getting pickup shots that I think spiced up the movie very, very noticeably. I also spent a few more months editing and refining and making the audio sound a lot better, I think, and making a lot of the effects look a lot better, I think, and just making it feel like more of a cohesive package. After I cut in the stuff I shot with Seb, I watched the film and I realized it's done. And my God, what a feeling that is. After all this work, at this point, 1.5 years of straight work on this thing, because again, I didn't have a job, so this was basically my full-time job, was working on this movie. It's finished, and I'm watching the credits roll, and it's done. But my job isn't done, because now comes the next part. And for me, that looked like premiering the movie at a big movie theater and submitting the film to film festivals. So I get to work on that. I start submitting BRAINBUGS to indie film festivals all around the country and even some outside the country. And I call up the Crest Theater in Sacramento, which is this big, beautiful theater that's been there for over 100 years. It was the perfect place, I decided, to premiere this film that was so inspired by old movies and old Hollywood. The film festival front does not go very well. We get basically nothing but rejections for months and months from festivals of all sizes. sizes. Not just the big boys were saying no, even the medium and little boys were saying, we're all good. And the crest thing at first went really well. I call up the people who were running the theater at the time. They say, okay, they get it set up on their website. And as far as I can tell, I'm not going to have to pay any money. But then one day I call the crest to try and figure some stuff out, and I get a new voice on the other side of the phone. He explains that he's the owner of the venue that has recently taken over from those people that I made the deal with. And now we've got to figure this thing out. So he cuts me a deal. Every single ticket bought will eat into the rental price. And if we sell enough tickets, he'll even cut me a check at the end of it so that I'm inclined to work with them again. I say, okay, because we're going to have to sell 300 tickets just about to break that even. But I decide to bet on myself and start trying. I start marketing on TikTok aggressively, which is not something I had ever done before. And it starts working really, really well. We have one video with my girlfriend promoting the screening that got 800,000 views in a single day. And like I said, my first movie got no attention. This was so unfamiliar to me, but exciting and like, whoa, people actually care about this thing. This is crazy. This is crazy. Day by day, the ticket count goes up, and we're already at this point past any screening I've ever held, but I really didn't want to have to pay that thousands of dollars if we didn't sell enough. So we keep marketing. And one day I get a call from Robert Emmerich at the Crest Theater. And by the way, I just made that whole saga sound a lot shorter than it was. It was months of every single day posting to TikTok, posting to Instagram, consistently trying to bang the drum about this. I got to go on the news.
Film's director, writer, co-star John Wesley to hear more about this movie and the process, of course, of making it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Camera change. The fancy one died, and we work in extremes here at dadsradplaid Enterprises. Anyway, one day I get a call from Robert Emmerich. I answer, hello? And he tells me that we have sold 250 tickets, which, as it turned out, with tax, was enough. I wasn't going to have to pay this rental fee thanks to all of these great people, hundreds of people who decided to come to this screening. I couldn't believe it. I was out of my mind with excitement. And the kicker was we only had to sell 250 tickets, as it turned out. We sold 395. So the Crest, true to their word, cut me a check. God bless them. And it helped a lot because I am not a wealthy person. And so the weeks marched on. We kept marketing the movie. We went down to Sacramento, printed out a bunch of posters, and a lot of businesses let us hang them up in the windows. It was awesome. It was phenomenal. Switchy came down for the premiere and got to see the movie with this huge crowd. It was like a dream come true. And let me tell you, brother, nothing. I mean, God, all of this work, all of this hardship, all of the steps that went into this, nothing could have prepared me how somehow worth it would still be when I walked out on that stage.
Holy shit! How we doing, Sacramento? I always wanted to do that.
All of these odds, all of these things that we had to surmount, and we did it. We did it. So let's close up shop here, huh? How about an epilogue? Speed fire around a bunch of stuff that happened after that screening. We held a couple more screenings, both of which did well. Some festivals actually ended up accepting us, and we even won Best Feature Film at the Berlin Kies Film Festival, which was extremely exciting. Right around the time of that Crest screening, I started emailing distributors. I knew we weren't going to land one of the big boys, so I started reaching out to a bunch that were indie focused, and it was a very tough game. We got so many rejections. I mean, most of them you don't even hear back from. The ones you do hear back from, yeah, it's 99% of the time a rejection. And this went on in its own right for 8 months. That continues into this year, 2026, just a couple months ago. I'm at my wit's end because I've had like 5 rejections in a row, and I'm like, God, I just need help. So what do? I go to the thing that has helped this movie get exposed to these people the whole time. I go to TikTok, and I yell into my phone in a real moment of frustration. I say, please, somebody buy this movie. And guess what happens? I have a series of people contact me after that video did pretty well. Bunch of conversations, but 2 conversations actually worked out really well. The first conversation was with the lovely folks over at Team D Releasing, who were just getting ready to release a series of physical albums. But they were interested in releasing film as well, so we got to talking, and they agreed to release a DVD and Blu-ray of the film, both of which are out now. I actually have them out there. Hold on. Check them out. Pretty spiffy, right? Yeah, not too bad. And I didn't have to do any of the work. They did all of the designing. They were so warm and forthcoming and loving about this project, and thanks to them, these things will outlive me now. So that's awesome. And we managed to secure streaming distribution thanks to the lovely folks at Echelon Studios through my communications with Brian at Momitu, which is also where the film officially premiered on streaming after all of these years. More streaming platforms are going to be added very soon thanks to Echelon Studios, including hopefully Tubi and Prime Video. Those are kind of the big dogs. But as we're wrapping up this little story, I think I'll also tell you something very exciting. June 29th, 2026, this year will mark 3 years since I announced the film and its cast for the first time on my Instagram. So it feels fitting that after all of this story is said and done, we've got something to pin a rose on it with. I'm here to announce that BRAINBUGS will be streaming for free starting June 29th. We're going to have a premiere on the channel, on CUTitPRINTit, and then it'll be streaming forever into the ethos forever and ever. I'm doing this because YouTube, in my mind, as the film industry is changing a lot right now, represents an ethos of accessibility. Everybody can see this movie. Everybody can see this movie because it's there, it's free, and everyone uses YouTube. So I'm happy. And also because I started this whole journey on YouTube a million years ago, it feels fitting to bring this film, not to a resting place, because like I said, there will be other platforms, but home to YouTube. So June 29th, 2026, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It will be premiering on CUTitPRINTit. I'll be posting all about it to make sure you know. Please watch my movie. I hope, if nothing else, this gives you an idea of how much work goes into something like this. And we are the small level, okay? We are indie, low-budget filmmakers, okay? But we can do it. You can do it too. Thank you for listening to my story. I've got more because this is not the only movie we've made. So, hey, if you like this, subscribe, hit a like, leave a comment letting me know you liked the video because, seriously, it helps out the channel. And also, it'll help me know that this was interesting enough to watch. Thank you to everybody over the years. I mean, I could just sit here and rattle off names and companies and people who have helped this film get exposure at different stages, from the crowdfunding to now, when it's a finished film that's about to finally be accessible to the world at large. So seriously, to everyone that worked on BRAINBUGS or helped me in any capacity with this project, thank you. It takes a village, seriously, and I could not have done it alone. Thank you for watching, everybody. Watch my movie BRAINBUGS when it's streaming on YouTube starting June 29th of this year. Watch Road Trip Runaway. That's that one right there. That's my first movie. It's on Blu-ray, Prime Video, Tubi. It's also on YouTube if you want to watch right here. Wild Man, my new movie, premieres at the Frida Cinema on July 11th. It's a free screening, so that's pretty exciting. Come on down if you're in Orange County or Los Angeles. And thank you so much for watching, guys. This has been great to walk down memory lane and talk about this. Oh, also, Switch United made BRAINBUGS the game, which is free on Steam right now. It's been downloaded over 1,000 times, which is awesome. But download BRAINBUGS the game. Play through the opening moments of the movie. Pretty cool, right? Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you around.